Okay, so from here until next week, we will be conics, so circles, ellipses, parabolas, and hyperbolas. So circles today you've already seen. We'll do ellipses on Wednesday whenever I see you, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So we've already dealt with circles whenever we were in 1.9. So back in chapter 1, so way back in first semester. But a lot of this goes with, or it's really the same similar type of formula than what we did with, or what we will do with hyperbolas, ellipse, and parabolas. So whenever you have a circle, remember you have a center, which is the radius, which is the same distance to all points on the circle. Standard form of a circle is just x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equal to the radius squared. Okay, so if you have to write the standard form of an equation of a circle with a center of 0 and a radius of 2, all you would do, remember that whenever we deal in h and k, that your x value is your h, your y value is your k. So all I'm going to do is just plug everything into my formula, and I'm going to have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equal to 2 squared. So this one's pretty straightforward and pretty easy because it's just going to be x squared plus y squared equals 4. So then whenever I graph it, the center is just where I start from my circle. If we go, let's make it red so we can see it. So there's my radius. Now since my radius is 2, that means I'm going to go into each direction. I'm going to go 2 to the right, 2 to the left, 2 up, 2 down, and then draw my circle. I hope your circle can be as perfect as mine. Good luck. If it looks more like a football, it'll be okay. Okay? As long as you have the center and the radius and everything else in the standard form right, you're going to be okay. I'm not going to grade you so much as you're on your drawing, as long as you have the radius right and you have the center right. Okay? So then, same way on 2, standard form of the equation, center is at -2, 3, radius of 4, so just go with my standard formula. Remember that, like we just talked about, h, there's k. So it is a minus, so I'm going to have x minus a -2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equals 4 squared. Now realistically, what are you going to do? You're probably not going to write that out. You're just going to go x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equals 16. Your center is where you're going to start. So I'm going to go to -2, +3, and I'm going to have a point right here. From there, my radius is 4, so I'm going to go 4 to the right. I'm going to go 4 to the left. I'm going to go 4 up, and I'm going to go 4 down. And then I'm just going to draw my circle. Now, in this case, you are given the equation. You want to find the center and the radius. So remember, with everything with your equation, it's just going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals your radius squared. So it's if it's a minus, it is what it is. If it's positive, or you really got to think about, if you look at everything, like if I look at the -2, then as far as my center is concerned, it's really just the opposite of whatever value that is. So if it's a -2, then my center is really at a +2. If my y value as far as my center is a +4, then it's at a -4. The radius hopefully is fairly simple in terms of if you have 9, so you need to take the square root of that value. So the square root of 9 is just going to be 3, and then we go over to graph it. So whenever we graph, I'm going to go to 2, -4. I'm going to put my point here at 2, -4. I'm going to go 3 to the right, 3 to the left, 3 up, 3 down. Draw my circle. Now, this one's a little bit different because use the graph to identify the relations domain and range. So really all it's going to be is where do my x values go from, and what's the range, or excuse me, let's not use the word range, but where's the window that my x values go from? From where to where? So basically from the furthest left point to the furthest right point, what's my x value here? -1 to 5. It is closed in. It is a bracket because it is included. Range is going to be the same thing, but instead it's going to be basically from bottom to top or top to bottom. So from negative, where are we at? 4, 7? -7 to -1. Last type then is the general form of an equation of the circle where you're going to have to use completing the square to find it. So basically you have an x squared, excuse me, an x squared, a y squared, an x, a y, and a constant. Okay? First thing that I would do is with any of these is really two things. Take your constant value, send it over to the right side, and then group your x values together and then your y values together. So if I rewrite this, I'm going to have x squared plus 4x. I'm going to have a blank, and then I'm going to have plus y squared minus 6y. I'm going to have a blank, and then I'm going to have it equal to 23. So from here, I'm doing completing the square. So remember, whenever I do completing the square, I take each of these. I'm going to look here. I'm going to take whatever that value is. I'm going to take 4. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to square it. Same way on with the y value. I'm going to take -6. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to square it. That same value is going to be on the left side and the right side. So I have the same number and the same thing over on the left and the right. The left side, I believe, is easier because whenever I do here, all I'm going to do is take 4 divided by 2. I'm just going to take this number and I'm going to put it right there. +4 divided by a +2 is a +2. I'm going to do the same thing over here with the second equation, and I'm going to have y. Negative 6 divided by 2 is a negative 3, and then I'm just going to go quantity squared. The right side just becomes a number. It's really up to you as far as what you want to do. If you want to rewrite 4 divided by 2 squared, that's just 4. That's going to be 9, and add 23, 4, and 9 all together and get 36. There's your equation for your circle. Now it's just a matter of knowing how everything fits as far as the center being at -2, +3, and having a radius of 6. Go over to graph it. -2, +3, right 6, left 6, I'm out of room. Going to look something like this here. Hardest one, obviously, is going to be whenever you have the general form. You're going to have to use completing the square. You just take whatever your x value is and your y value, divide it by 2 and square it, do it to both sides, and then just put it in the form. Okay. Making sure that whenever you have like 36 or 49 that you take the square root of whatever that value is so you can find your radius.